Hey there, this is Jamie Russo. I am the CEO of Everything Coworking and the host of the podcast by the same name. Great to see everybody today. I'm going to do a Q&A. If you have a question, make sure you drop it in the comments. Happy to address while we're here. I'm going to talk about three things today: outsourcing social media, should you be giving pricing deals, and the topic of this week's podcast, how to attract the work from home, work from anywhere segment that's newly a part of our potential member base. So thanks for joining me. We're going to dive right in. First topic, should you outsource your social media? So tempting, totally tempting, because it can take up a lot of time. So a couple of considerations with your social media. One, make sure you're not spending too much time on your social media. Most of us do not get a lot of leads from social media unless we're in a small market. So there are markets in which social media is the jam because you are the only or one of the very few flexible office co-working spaces. And so Google automatically gives you top billing in the search results. And so social media is a bigger part of your marketing strategy. If you're in a more competitive market, certainly you need to do social, but it's probably not going to be the way you get leads. You want to attract your active searchers who are coming to you through Google My Business listings. So be careful how much time, budget, energy you put into social media. You want to make sure you're doing the 80-20 rule, figuring out where do your leads come from and spending your time on that, which makes it tempting to outsource social media, but be careful about the budget. And then what we want to do with social media, we're not really attracting active searchers. We're educating and giving people a little bit of FOMO about being a part of our community. And that has to be really authentic and really in the moment. So it's hard to assign that to somebody who's not in the space, doesn't know your membership, isn't there to take photos. So you or your team are going to have to take the photos at the member event of candidates, of folks hanging out in the space, and you're going to have to send those off. And so you might as well kind of run the process, I think. So, Facebook Lives, member interviews, all those things have to be done in the space. What would be ideal is if you could recruit somebody with social media expertise to be a member. Consider doing a trade or paying them outright to run your social media, because then it's sort of the best of both worlds. You can get it off your plate if it's not your zone of genius, or and also you're giving a member in the space who really gets what's happening there is in charge. It is very hard to outsource and remain authentic and have people really get your voice and understand it. It's possible. I've seen one of my co-working startup school students actually has somebody doing her social, and I keep asking her if she's for hire because her social is amazing, super local. She's in a smaller market, so she's doing lots of engagement with other local businesses, holiday gift guide, all the things, and it's working really well for her. Her person is not for hire, by the way, where I'd be passing out her name and using her myself. I totally get how much time it takes to do social media. Okay, so we did a 2021 planning call yesterday, which was amazing. It's part of our Design to Thrive in 2021 workshop series. We did session 2, and session 2 was all about getting numbers on paper or in the spreadsheet as goals for 2021 by month. And one of the questions that came up was around pricing offices, doing deals. Somebody brought up the point. She said, look, I'm planning and here are my target prices. Here are my list prices for my offices, for example. But in real life, here's what's happening. I'm doing deals. I'm giving a different deal to everybody who comes into the space. And so I kind of have to track what's happening in real life as opposed to what my list price is and what my pro forma is based on. What do I do about that? Heart, I don't know who the heart is from, but hey, Jess. Jess was on the session yesterday. She did a mindset. Who do you need to show up as in 2021 to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish and get those offices filled? And so I am always so grateful for Jess to bring her special gift to our group. So thank you, Jess. But talking about doing deals, and here's the reality, right? So you want to get on paper your plan so that you have your goal, and you want to show up and try to attract the members that are the perfect fit for that office and have the need and want to be a part of your community. And so the price is maybe not their primary factor, but we are in tough times. And a lot of folks on the call were like, look, I'm just trying to get that rent check paid every month. And so sometimes I'm doing what I need to do. Totally get it. So here are a couple of thoughts. Oh, good, Jess. I'm glad you're rocking that spreadsheet. Make sure you come to the follow-up call in January, because we're going to make sure, hold everybody accountable and make sure we're maintaining that momentum. So if you are in the situation, and probably through Q1 before we get the vaccine in place, et cetera, we are making some trade-offs, right, when we do deals. So the first thing I would say, and I think Jess may have made this point yesterday, is look, don't do a deal with somebody that's not a right fit for your space. If somebody's only shopping on price and that's not your positioning in the marketplace, then try to hold out, right? Know what your goal is, hold out for the next person. If you really want this person to be a part of the space and you're willing to make that trade-off on price, then you can make a trade-off. Do be careful when you're doing deals that are different based, every office gets a different deal based on what someone's asking you for, is members will talk. So they'll get to know each other. And at some point they go out to lunch, and it is not out of the question that they're talking about what they pay for space. So you want to have a framework or a methodology for how you do those deals. And I learned this lesson the hard way, but I started to literally say to people, look, I need to be really consistent. It's important to me that I treat members consistently. So here's what I can offer. So you kind of have your back pocket deals that you can offer, but they're consistent. So a couple of thoughts on deals if you're doing them. One, try to offer something that doesn't cost you money. So conference room time, extra conference room time. Most of us have underutilized meeting room space. Maybe that's something that the new member would value. Maybe you can offer them, they have a coworker or a college-aged kid. Maybe they get a discount on a membership in the open space. What else can we do that doesn't cost money? Maybe you price your mail service a la carte, so you can throw in the mail service. I know in co-working, we don't like to have a lot of a la carte items, but maybe there are a couple of things that you can use to kind of throw in to help them feel like they're getting something. So see what you can do that doesn't actually cost you money. Make the deals temporary. So frame it as COVID pricing. Look, this is our pricing. We stick to it. We have a business model. We simply can't stay in business if we're not getting the pricing that we need to pay our team and to pay our rent and all of our expenses. So this is a COVID deal. It expires, and it expires automatically. I'm not going to come back and have a conversation with you or send you warnings. You get this deal through March 1st. March 1st, we're back to regular pricing. Let's try that. If they come back and they, demand to have that conversation, do it. The challenge with making deals is people get really used to that pricing, and then they don't like it when the price goes up. So just be careful and try to let it automatically renew and increase. And then what's my third suggestion? The third suggestion that came up from a couple of folks in the group is if you have offices that are, say, a 4-person office and somebody wants it for 3 people and they only want to pay the 3-person price versus the 4-person price, you could let them do that, but they have right of first refusal. If somebody else comes in with a 4-person team and is willing to pay full price, you're going to go to that member paying only for 3 people and say, look, I have somebody that has 4 people. I can move you to a different office or into dedicated desks if you're not willing to pay the 4-person price. So again, make it temporary, make it something that you can get out of. We want to be thinking that 2021 will get better. It has to, right? So keep in mind that by the middle of the year, hopefully people are returning to the office. We have a vaccine in place. It's being more widely distributed. And so the demand will pick up. So don't get yourself stuck in deals that you can't get out of or that you resent over time. So make them temporary, frame them as temporary. And then before I go, I want to talk about this week's podcast. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you get in there and listen. New episode every single week. Everything Coworking is the name of the podcast. So this week we are talking about how to attract the work from home segment. So we're used to serving professional service folks, lawyers, attorneys, social media agencies, recruiting agencies, freelancers, graphic artists, designers, coaches, tech startups, small businesses, people who need others and are working for themselves and who understand the value and are more aware of co-working. Even if you're in a smaller market, their first thought is not likely to go sign a 5-year lease, right? So we're used to those folks coming in and they're more actively searching. So they find us on Google, they find us on our website, they find us on our Google My Business page. They're looking for us, right? They're solution aware, problem aware, and they're easier to capture. And we speak to them, we message to them on our website, we talk to them on tours. Well, now there's this whole new segment of folks that used to work in a corporate office, or maybe a bigger small business who has reduced their real estate portfolio, and they're all at home. They're not solution aware. They're starting to be problem aware. They're starting to be aware it's not that easy to be at home and be productive and do work. And as schools reopen and all those things happen, they will be open-minded to solutions to their problem of working at home. But they're not Googling for co-working because they don't know that it's available, right? So you need to get in front of them. And so that's different than our typical Google approach or SEO approach, because that relies on people coming and finding us. So we need to go get in front of them. And so I talk about Facebook ads as a potential way to do that, as a tool to sort of interrupt them and educate them and get them into our sales funnel. So for all the details, make sure you listen to this week's podcast. I will put the link in the notes below. That's it for now. So I go live every week, every Wednesday, usually at 11 o'clock. That's a little bit late today. We had a co-working startup school call this morning that went over lots of good meaty questions from the group that is working on launching spaces. So I hope to see you here next week. If you have a question that you want me to address on the call, we pull questions from our Facebook group. So if you're not in the Facebook group, it's the Everything Co-working Facebook group. You can search for that and join us. Hope you have a great rest of your week.